Hi everyone, it's Ayesha here from God FM, and I want to talk about identity. What is your identity, and what can someone do with it? Okay, so this is a warning, right, to anybody who is a targeted individual, but anyone else as well who thinks that they're here to save humans and mankind, right? There's some people masquerading as saviors, but they're not really saviors, okay? Because they haven't got any money, and they don't work for the government. They're a bunch of crooks. Alright. There's a lot of dodgy things going on. Okay, so I have a targeted individual group on WhatsApp, and I have lots of members of people who are targeted, who have joined the community, and we've got people who had been members on there who, had been able to establish their problems with aerials and phone masts and uncovered a lot of things, One of these guys I was really good friends with, actually, from Rough Love, and anyway, between him and Dan Dyer, they created a group and decided to tell everyone that they're going to save humanity. They didn't tell me about it, and they didn't want me to know about it. We're asking people for their passports with the photograph on and the signature strip of the passport, as well as fingerprint in red ink and a signature in blue ink with a photograph of them signing. I don't know if you realise, but I do, what that is. And under sovereign law, that's you giving away your identity. Now, Dan Dyer is an expert at this sovereign stuff. Okay. Now, I don't know if you know what it's like, right, when you've got a computer, and they say, oh, you must be careful on your computer, you mustn't click any links. You mustn't, let someone speak to you on the phone and take control of your computer. Like, I'll give you an example. I had a problem with my HP printer, and I phoned this helpline, but I didn't know it was a dodgy helpline, and I gave them access to my computer. And while I was on the phone to them, I suddenly just got a funny feeling that I really shouldn't have done that. So I unplugged the internet, and he said, oh, I can't connect to the leader, and he became all sort of clicky and a bit like a boyfriend who doesn't want to let you go. And I said, oh, sorry, there's a problem with the internet, I'll have to call you back sometime. And he phoned me about 20 times, and I found all sorts of things in the computer. I did. I'm actually quite good with computers. Not trained, but I can find my way around the computer, the BIOS and everything else. So I was fortunate that I realized, and I quickly Googled this company, and I found out that they had done this to lots of people. They'd advertised and masqueraded as saviors at 11 obviously, for printed, and then they'd steal people's identity. They get into all their emails, their passwords, and everything else, right? And banking and all the rest of it. Now, what we've got as targeted individuals, we've got something similar for people who are set up spamming telephone masts, spamming aerials to triangulate your location and sort of spoof your Wi-Fi and spoof your own telephone network for your SIM card and take over your phone. But they have to marry everything up to WhatsApp, mainly. They sent images through WhatsApp, which are embedded with code and tracking stuff. And they can do it with PDFs, and they can also do it with links from YouTube. They can do it also with TikTok and Telegram. Any app really, where you can communicate, they can put a little link in there, and this thing can take over your phone. And it's sending all sorts of commands and taking instructions, called ARM64. And it's the favorite for these guys, WhatsApp. Alright. Now I'm going to try and do a video on WhatsApp to try and help you guys. Alright. But the way I see it is that we are about to go into the digital ID, and they've backed off that in England. But you know, some phones, they want your fingerprint instead of your facial recognition. But your fingerprint is going to be something that will be used for going into your phone. It'll probably be used for going into shops. It'll be used in banking. It'll be used to start your car. Do you know your right finger in China, they can start the car with that, and they use a lot of that for identity. And they've been stealing people's right thumbs. Yeah. So when I heard that these guys were asking for the thumbprints and all of this information, and they said, oh, you know, it's because we're going to set you up as sheriffs or whatever, and you're going to be paid £16,000 a month. And they'd asked, have you spoken to Ayesha yet? And apparently Gary Waterman's behind all of this. And Dan Dyer and Rough Love. And then they heard that I got wind of what was happening. And then they blocked a guy called Nelson from the group because they thought that he was the leak who told me about this information, right? And I contacted Nelson, and I will put all of these images on this video, right? So you can get an idea. And I said, listen, you're asking people for their identity, their photographs, and their passport, and fingerprints and things. And then he sent me a reply saying, yes, they've asked me for all of that. And I blocked him because actually I don't know who to trust. And I don't want to have anybody like that in my group who is part of another group that is going to be asking people for their ID. I've got another old lady who has sent a reply saying, oh, I don't know if I can find my passport, to one of my groups. Obviously she's a bit old and she's not well. She's in hospital, in and out of hospital all the time, on medication. She's a targeted individual, very vulnerable, and she's obviously got confused about which group she's replying to. And she's replied to one of my groups saying, I don't know where my passport is, and stuff like this. So, and they were very upset when they heard that Nelson, he's called Targeted in Nelson, might have given me information about what they were doing. So they don't want me to know what they're doing. And they don't want me to know about the group. And they don't want me to be part of their group. But they do want to save humanity, and they do want everyone to become sheriffs, and they do want to pay them salaries, and they're going to be paid a lot of money because they secretly work for the government, even though they can't afford to buy a phone. And they take drugs all day, and they're off their head. And they're good friends with Gary Waterman. So, I've already told you, right, with Mr. Gary Waterman. He is a master mason. Yeah, I mean, I tried to help the guy And for some reason he decided to make out that you can't trust me. Okay, now I work for God, so you can trust me. And Mr. Dan Dyer has also supposedly fell out with Gary Waterman because Gary Waterman had information that Dan Dyer had been a trader of children's blood, adrenochrome. That's what he told me. And so that made me very uncomfortable to deal or speak with Dan Dyer, because at the time I believed everything Gary Waterman said. But then Dan Dyer was still talking to Gary Waterman. They pretend that they're not talking, but they are really. There was another lady that Gary Waterman accused of being a government spy. And she still talks with Dan Dyer. And he put Gary Waterman put her in a video and put a video up of her, and he's done the same, put my name in his document and all sorts. And this is not just me and this lady, lots of people he's done this to, many people. I've spoken to many victims. I've done videos about it on my other TikTok before it was banned. I'll upload them again, so everybody knows who Mr. Gary Waterman is, and I think he's a dangerous man, right? So Mr. Dan Dyer told her, he said, "Oh, I know you're not a sniper." It's an internal joke. Yeah? Mr. Dan Dyer knows I'm not a secret agent for the government. Alright. I'm not a secret agent for anybody. I'm a targeted individual trying to find my brothers and sisters. I've had some dreams from the Lord about claiming our land, and I believe those dreams. And I believe I'm the leader of God's nation on this earth. The leader of Israel, and I will be claiming my land. If you actually want to know, I believe I'm the leader of the tribe of Judah. But you know, that's what I believe, right? I don't mind if people don't believe that. It's okay with me. You know, but we're in a mess at the moment, and I don't want to be part of this digital system. And my background is law, alright, marketing, and estate agency, right? Okay. And to rent a property, well, you need to provide your identity, right? A passport. If you want to rent a place, you need a passport. If you want to stay in a hotel, you need a passport. Yeah. So giving people a copy of your passport is a problem. It's a big problem. Yeah. So especially with red fingerprint in red ink. So I've got colleagues who are targeted individuals, and they're under full-time attack. And these people, Dan and Ruff, had said that they were going to look at each area and help them and all this. And then they're asking for the ID for these guys. So I thought they were helping everyone. But when they started having secret meetings and secret groups and secret chats and trying to make sure that I didn't know about it, that's when I thought, right, okay then. Can't trust you, can we, eh? You're a bit dodgy. So I'm warning everybody, there's lots of people on TikTok and different platforms, and you need to be careful with getting too close to them and giving them your information. Like, I don't really know these guys, right? I've never met Dan Dyer. I've never met Targeted in Nelson. There's another one called Gary, who's also a target. And maybe he's a victim, or maybe he's not, I don't know. But it's all very secretive, right? No one will tell me, apart from a couple of people who have told me about it. And no one else wants to talk to me, but when they found out about this, that I had heard about it, they removed certain people from their group because they told me about it. You've leaked the information to Ayesha God FM. So we're blocking you. As soon as I heard this, right, I was like, whoa. This is dangerous. So this is a warning, right? A warning to anybody, anywhere. Watch out for TikTok. Don't give your details. Don't give your passport. Don't give your driving license. Don't give your fingerprint, red fingerprint. Avoid Dan Dyer. Avoid Rough Love. Avoid Targeted Nelson. Be careful of the names that I've mentioned, right? Gary Waterman. Alright? These people are not going to help anybody. Mr. Gary Waterman's living in a tent. I don't think he's going to save anyone. Alright? He's either a bullshitter or he's a secret government person working for the Masons. Either one of those, no good. Come on, guys. Figure it out. Dan Dyer again, you know, I've got a friend that said, oh, you know, he's always ringing for money every time, him and his girlfriend. Don't think he can save anyone. He can't afford a new phone. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I'm broke as well, but I'm very careful. I don't take drugs, I don't drink, so I can make my money go real far. And I know how to generate money if I have to. When I created my estate agent, by the way, it was just a flash idea I had one day. Someone said, oh, do you run an estate agent? Sort of. Well, someone wants you to find a tenant down in the cafe down there. I said, oh, okay then. So I went down and I asked him about what he needed. I took a look at his property. I thought, can I market it? I thought, I can. I said, I'll find you a tenant. What do you normally get charged? He said, about $300-400. I said, oh, okay. I'll do it for $199 or $299. And I advertised it. I found a tenant. Then I contacted my legal friends and I said, now what do I do? Because I want to vet this tenant. And they showed me what I needed to do to vet the tenant and make sure that they were a nice tenant. So then I started my referencing and I came up with phrases like reference request because my background's law. And I created my own forms and my estate agent was born overnight. And my phone wouldn't stop ringing. So then I decided, well, actually, we probably need some more properties and we need some staff. So I got some more properties and I advertised at all the properties and my phone rang off the hook. Okay. And I created a franchise chain for my estate agent so that people could buy into the franchises if they wanted. And I appointed myself a franchisee, but I was also the franchisor. But it was nice because it gave me a little bit more je ne sais quoi for operating in business. And then I also started doing evictions and legal paperwork like leases. My background's law. And then I needed a bigger shop and I needed more staff. And I got hacked in 2015. And I also set up a solar business. Because where I was, there was some staff in the office next door to mine, upstairs. And they were telesales guys. And they said, oh, you know, we could make so much money if we had a solar business. And they'd done a bit of telesales for me. So I said, oh, you know, I reckon I could set up the solar business. So I set up a solar business. And I had 17 telesales, a sales manager, a sales director, and then a director to oversee fitting. And that was with those two boys. And they went off and took my data and set up their own solar business and are involved with the hacking, right? They befriended my staff in the estate agent as well. This was in 2015. I might as well tell you that this happened. Michael Holton and Luke Aryans, who worked for me, decided to try and destroy me. We were earning big bucks as well. 5, 6, 10 grand a week sometimes. We had a really, really hot sales guy called Roger, and he was amazing. Background was selling double glazing. But my background is sales as well. And I used to do sales training and training of salespeople how to sell. So that was my background, and I've done a lot of things. And but when I got hacked last time, I shut down my businesses because I realized that you're dealing with people's data and all of this, and that's another reason why, with my current situation, I've pretty much shut down operations because I know what can happen. All right, and I'm very careful with people's data, and I'm very careful with my own data, and with my God FM group. Now, when I introduce people and I welcome them into my group, I shall say, if anybody contacts you privately to try and set up a private group, asking for your private information like fingerprints or passports or anything else, don't do it, and make sure you tell me, because the people involved in these crimes are dangerous, and I'm going to be reporting it to the police, because even though I'm a targeted individual, the crimes that you guys are committing, Ruff and Dan Dyer, asking for this kind of information, you don't have a limited company, you don't have a consortium that you're going to be using as the figurehead to represent yourselves. You're just Dan Dyer and Rufflove. Dodgy. I got God FM, a proper company, right? And it's not that long ago that I actually suggested that if I ever see someone digging up the drains outside in an unmarked vehicle, that I should start invoicing for the people putting in the 4G and all the rest of it, because I know how to do that and issue proceedings through the court and have £50,000 charges for doing these things. And I know I would enforce it through the court as well. And if I didn't want to use their court, I could use my own created new court. So some years ago I changed my name. I didn't get a company to do it, or I did it myself, because I can do that kind of thing. I do affidavits for people, all kinds of things. So, like I say, with what's happening in the world, if we go into the digital ID system, and they're talking about wiping the slate with all your debts, aren't they, right? So then they were going to say, give me your passport, your fingerprint. That's the first thing. Then they're going to make you part of the digital ID, right? Okay. So I was saying to one of the victims, I was saying, you can just imagine it, can't you? New digital system. Dan Dyer, rough love, I want to go and buy a house. Oh, which identity shall we use today to buy a house? You watch out, guys. Don't give your identity away, right? Alright, you hear me? Doesn't matter who's promising you anything. If somebody wants you to work for them, you need to have an official document offering you employment by an official registered company. Make sure you check out that company, and you make sure that you check out that company is legitimate. Right? You go online and you check their company registration. You check if they're VAT registered. You check with HMRC and you make sure that they're registered as a proper company. Right? But the current system's dodgy. Yes, it's dodgy, but it's the best we've got at the moment. Okay? And I certainly wouldn't trust Dave next door. That's why God FM is a company. Right. Because you can check it out and you go online and you can go, yes, there's a company called God FM. And Ayesha is the director. Yes. So, again, be careful of, Gary Waterman as well. People, when they were serving notices to the solicitors, right? I thought it was a bit stupid. Like, they would go in and read the notice, and they would say, I'm coming on behalf of Gary Waterman. And I thought, every time I heard that, I would get a cringe, right? And I'd think, God, you sound pathetic. No one's going to take you seriously going in on behalf of Gary Waterman, right? But if you're going in on behalf of a company, like I'm here from Alliance Regulator Association of Companies. Here's my letterhead. I'm one of the appointed adjudicators, and I have come here because I want to tell you that your company has been identified as committing fraud and association with fraud. Here's the links and a full page, a write-out of all the links your company has and associated organizations that we have tied you to with the other organizations. Right. And then for this, we were really uncomfortable. But even still, if I did that, right, that would be my company, right? I'm not a government official and I'm not appointed by government, and that company that I'm now sending out there, right, is created by me. I have no authority to do that, right? Because I'm not the Queen, and I'm not the Mayor, and I'm not the President or whatever, right? I'm just Ayesha Hart, who owns a company. So you need to understand the makeup of things before you try and do stuff, right? There's also a lot of guys who reckon that they can make a change and whatever else. But there's a lot of talkers and no happening, eh? I can make a change, and I will make a change. Yeah. Because I want to start a new government, alright? And I can do that, and I know how to do it. Alright? With my own laws. What laws? Well, from the Bible, of course. You're not qualified, sister. Well, I am. I'm a Leviticus priest. And I'm also qualified in law here as well. Not qualified, but studied. Alright? Okay, so I can hold myself quite well in any situation. But I also recognize dodgy people. And I'm here to warn you about it. Okay. And from my point of view, I was very, very offended, very upset. And you can be assured that anyone like that, I have blocked them. And they're not part of my groups, and they won't be. And I don't share any content with them. I don't do any interviews with them. I won't have anything to do with any of these people. Because as far as I'm concerned, they're all dodgy, right? Because no one, like Dave next door, can't change the world. Sorry. You can't, right? You need something to endorse what you're doing, right? You need someone like me. I know I can do it. But it's up to people. If they want to come to me, they can. Alright? For me, I just want my freedom. And I want to protect my friends, my targeted individual friends. Okay. And, gotta ask why. Why are people doing this kind of thing? It's becoming quite a big thing. I've heard also on TikTok, there's a lot of people masquerading as helpers and stuff like this. And they're getting people's private information. They're actually harvesting data. Okay? And it's my belief that every time Gary Waterman sends out his document, it's embedded with code that's going to hack you. That's what I think. And I think anyone else that's pretending to be helping, they're embedding everything with code. And actually, maybe if they're, instead of helping, they're actually rigging it all up. Okay, so I don't trust anybody now. I've got my little group, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm just here to try and support and reassure the targeted individuals and be there as a mother goose, really. Alright? And that's what I'd say. If anybody asks you to do anything, ask me first. My opinion. Okay. And I'll tell you what I think, because I've got a good mind. Alright? I have. Promise. And ask me for any advice. And I will tell you what I think. And I'll say, no, don't trust that one. Or yes, that might be okay. Have you done this, that, and the other? Alright? Okay. So we have to be mindful and careful, right? So what can we do about what's happening? Okay, well, Rough Love can't do anything. Dan Dyer can't do anything. Gary Waterman can't do anything. Okay. Mark Steele can't do anything either. C-Can, he couldn't do anything. Why? Because like I was saying before, they're not a government official. They haven't started a new government yet. So they're not going to be recognized or taken seriously because they're just Joe Average, right? But there is a way to do it. No, I know how to do it. But maybe that's why they excluded me from it. Because believe it or not, these people they just don't know what they're doing. I remember when I was hacked in 2015, not only did these guys try and steal my data, but they actually tried to steal the company. I was like, oh, I said, forgot about it. Yeah, they're actually trying to steal the company. Oh. I said, that's funny. He said, yeah, but they can't steal the company because it's a registered limited company. So, I started doing live shows on TikTok, and I've got lots of evidence that this is a crime that's happening all over the world. I've also got lots of evidence now that the gang stalkers are blood drinkers, right? And child eaters. And if they're going to go to such extremes to cover up their crimes, you can be sure that they're going to masquerade as targeted individuals as well. And they're going to masquerade as saviors because they want to keep their whole system in place. Vanessa Emery. Right, let's talk about her. She found a crown, apparently. She looks like Jimmy Savile. She looks like a man. Doesn't look like a woman. Actually, she's got similar features to my dad. Don't think she's the Queen. And even if she was related to the royalty, I wouldn't want anyone like that appointed, would you? No. I think that the people need somebody they trust. And I think that it needs to be someone who follows God. That's what I think. And I think it actually needs to be me. Yeah, that's what I think. Okay. So, that's what I think of Vanessa Emery. I'm sure she's a lovely lady. But if you were really kidnapped and all the other nonsense, you wouldn't have found a crown. And the crown I believe you found was some little plastic thing with some little sort of glass diamond things inside or whatever it was. I don't take any of it seriously. I actually believe this is about an inheritance from the Lord, and the Bible is unfolding. I don't believe that Gary Waterman is any type of savior. Or anything like this. The least shall be the most, and the most shall be the least. That's what I'm told in the Bible. Alright then. So, make sure you share this content, please. Warn everybody. Alright. I'll try and do a couple of videos about this. I'll do some long ones and short ones to warn people about this. Okay. Also, just to let you know, God FM is self-funded. I don't receive any money from anybody. I never ask for money. I don't ask for money or anything. Okay. So, just so you know that. Why? Well, because actually I want my reward in heaven. Thank you. And I want to do this for the Lord, for His glory. And then He can go, oh, Ayesha did this, that, and the other, and she created this company, and she dedicated her whole life to sharing my message. Hopefully it'll give me some favour in the eyes of the Lord. And I do His daily light for Him and the daily sword of truth. And I'm hoping that will also give me favour in the eyes of my God. Because I love my God above everything and above everyone, including myself. Alright then. It's Ayesha from God FM, and if you want to find me, you can find me on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, Samsung, Chrome, YouTube, Apple, X, TikTok, as well as Telegram as God FM News, God FM New, God FM Radio, and God FM Group. Alright? And you can email me, admin@godfm.org.uk, and you can WhatsApp me, +44 777 35 777 88. And just watch out, because there's child eaters around. There really is. Yeah. Gang stalkers are child eaters. If you're a little child, they could disappear from the main road and end up in someone's pot. But I'm not joking around. I'm deadly serious. Because there's no regulators of anything, and the police are not going to protect targeted individuals. So certainly not going to protect little children on the main street, okay? Alright then. Have a good day. It's Ayesha from God FM. Take care.